Voracious. 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 Welcome to the show.
Welcome back, everybody, to this wonderful episode of Voracious Podcast. I know I've been off the scene for a while, haven't made a podcast in quite a while. So what? I want to talk about a few things today, just real quick. I want to talk about forgiveness first, because a lot of times what I see, this tactic of the enemy, the devil, that devil, one of his tactics is to trick you into allowing the offense of what somebody has said or done to you and hold on to that, and it shuts you down. And once you identify as a victim of what this person did to you or said to you, and you're walking in offense, you become bitter and angry and absolutely useless, honestly, as a human being. You're useless, because all you want to talk about when it gets down into it is how hurt you are and how bad this situation is, and this person did this to me, and so therefore I'm justified, and blah, blah, blah. I'm not making light of your situation. If you're one of these people, I have been one of these people. It happens. It's okay. I'm not belittling your pain and whatever you've been through. I promise you, everybody you know has been through some absolutely awful stuff. Probably. I know I have, and everybody I know has. Which, I mean, in a way, kind of makes it better, because if you actually realize that everybody has been through something, it'll help you break free of that, because isolation is not your friend. And the enemy wants you to feel like you're the only one who's ever felt this. Your life's the worst. And just to isolate you and shut you down and be trapped in that. But I wrote down something. I said, forgiving people has nothing to do with the person that has hurt you. It's to release yourself from the guilt, shame, and pain that you allowed yourself to identify with. You are made for relationships. People will hurt you. You need to let the Lord help you to forgive those who have offended you, those who have hurt you and tried to change your personality in your life for the worst. You don't have to stay there. You don't have to be a victim of that for the rest of your life. Believe me, I know. I've been there. And it's a choice daily to walk in forgiveness and forgive the people that hurt you on the daily. I am lied to on the daily, okay? It's just part of where I'm at. I am lied to my face daily. Do I let that affect me? Sometimes, yes. Do I let it affect me on the long term? No, I can't, because if I do, then I'm going to get shut down. I'm going to live in this miserable pattern for the rest of my life, and that's going to benefit nobody. That's bad for me. That's bad for my family. It's just bad for everybody. And like I said, yeah, sometimes I do fall victim to it, but you got to just get up and move forward. You got to forgive. I mean, you ain't got to do anything. I'm just telling you from my life experience that it's very beneficial to learn how to deal with your emotions and forgive yourself and forgive the people. And you know, I've heard people say, "Oh, I forgive somebody. I have to let them know that I forgive them." Nope. It has nothing to do with them. You don't have to let them know anything. If you're trying to get a hold of somebody who doesn't want to talk to you to let them know you forgive them, you're not in forgiveness. You're in manipulation. Oh, yeah, that's called manipulation, and it's not healthy at all. So stop doing that. Second thing I wanted to talk about today, on to the next subject, because deconstructing faith. Because I've heard and I've seen a lot of people, especially on the TikTok platform. So it's the same story with everybody I've heard who deconstructs their faith. They were involved at church for their whole life or whatever. They got involved at church. They were volunteering and they went to the top of the mountain. And then they found out at the top of the mountain at this organization they called a church that there's nothing but a cliff on the other side, and their leaders are manipulative liars. And so they have to deconstruct from that. It was traumatic experience, and it is a traumatic experience. It's awful. They deconstruct their faith, quote unquote. So what they do is they take the unfortunate example of church that they were involved in, they wrap Jesus in that, and they throw the whole thing over the cliff. It's all bad. The Bible isn't true. I'm so much better on my own now that I'm free from Christianity. They wrap up the word Christianity in there too. When really all that happened is that you fell victim to the classic Americanized version, the classic Americanized version of what we call church, which structure-wise, you're not going to find it in the Bible. If you read your Bible, you would have already had like a alert coming up that says this is not what church is supposed to look like. What you're involved in is not church. Run for the hills. A good example, a good indicator for you, and this is just gonna trigger a lot of people because there's thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who are in quote big churches and mega churches and love their speaker and their pastor, or they call him a pastor, but he's not. What you have, and I am not talking trash on anybody's name in particular because there's so many of these so many of these situations are happening all around America. What you have, if you have a guy standing on a stage in front of people and he is, his message is, he's yelling a lot and he's quiet and he's very dynamic and he's very charismatic. And what that actually is called performance. Okay. That's a performer. Okay. Sorry to bust your bubble on your favorite Christian speaker or whatever, but they have a performance to do on that stage. That's a performance. Why would you say that? That's crazy. I don't think that's all of them. Well, I don't think it's all of them, but I think it's most of them. And how I can tell is that on stage they're one way, and if you watch them on a one-on-one interview or a podcast, they're they talk normal, just conversing. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe that's the real you, and maybe what's on stage in front of 1,000 people or more is a performance. Andy, is that a bad thing that we have performers in church? Well, yes. Yeah, it's not a great thing. We should be hungry for what the Lord is doing and saying. We should be hungry for the word. We should be hungry for his miracles and his forgiveness and his grace and love. You should not come as an empty vessel to church hoping to get a word of encouragement from a performer on a stage. And that's generally what we have made the church into. It is what it is. I'm sorry if you're just coming to that realization. However, people who are deconstructing their faith, I have a hard time believing that they actually had or have a good standing relationship with Jesus, because most of them throw the Bible and Jesus out with their deconstruction, and that's where it's bad. Now, if you're deconstructing from the American church, I don't really have too much of a problem with that, because it's all a bunch of crap. It's a big show. It's designed to get you in the building. It's designed to get you to give money to the organization, by a lot of times preaching a false message about tithing, which if you've watched my other podcasts on tithing, you would understand that tithing, it isn't anything that you've ever done or can do. It's an old custom. It's an old thing that people used to do in a Jewish custom, in a Jewish setting. And you have never done it. So please go and read about tithing, and it's going to blow your mind. Read about it in the Bible. Or some friends of mine, the Bearded Bible Brothers, have a podcast, and he goes into a lot more detail about how tithing is not something that we do today, and it's not something that's applicable. Now, I will I will say that giving is 100% scriptural. You are to be a giver. You are to be a joyful giver. If you can't give joyfully, don't give at all, because nobody wants money with strings attached, and especially strings that are attached to grumpy people. So if you can't give cheerfully with a good heart and a good heart posture, and you get to determine what you give. I didn't even say it has to be money. Like, you could go volunteer at a homeless shelter for all I care. It's about the heart, and it's about what you're doing. So yeah. Anyway, that was a rabbit trail. I rabbit trailed from deconstructing faith to tithing. Rabbit trails are fun. No, anyway, those are the two main things I wanted to talk about today. Hopefully there was some helpful information. I don't want you to leave here thinking that I don't believe in the church. I most certainly do. I do believe that we were created for relationship. We are supposed to be, we as Christians, I'm saying, and Christian's almost like a bad word anymore. But I'm not going to ditch the word Christian. Okay. I'm going to stick with it, because it indicates that I'm a follower of Christ, and that's what I believe that I am. I am not a religious organization type of person. And I am studying, and I'm trying to figure out what the original design of the church as a gathering, as people gathering together as believers, is supposed to look like. And all that I know right now, well, not all that I know, but one of the things that I'm very sure of right now is that it doesn't look like anything that you're watching on TV. Any live stream service, any organization with a big building and hundreds or thousands of people staring at one man on a stage is not it. Now, I do belong to a very small congregation in church. And do we have a speaker? We meet on Saturdays. Do we have somebody speaking, bringing a message, bringing the word on those services? Yes, we do. But it doesn't have to be a certain individual. It's not like the lead pastor has to bring the word. It's not like the lead pastor has to be the one in the spotlight. He doesn't have to be the one to pray for you to get healed. And I think that's that's a big key in what we're trying to discover and what we're doing in walking out our journey. I've preached multiple occasions. There's been other people in our church that have had the opportunity to bring the word, and it's all good and it's all received very well. And I think there's something to that, and giving people the opportunity to walk in what they believe their giftings are. Also, don't confuse giftings with fruit. Fruit is what you want to gauge your church by fruit, okay? Not by gifts. Gauge it by what's the fruit that you're getting. If you're seeing lives changed sustainably, if you're seeing discipleship lived out, if you're seeing all the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, self-control. If you're seeing the fruit, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's something good there, because only a good tree can bear good fruit. You have to understand that when you're looking into this, and when you're even if you're watching this and you're exploring deconstruction of your faith, judge fruit, okay? Is there fruit in what's happening around you, or is there not? And very, very real, being very real, if there's not, it's okay to ditch out on that. Get out of there. If there's no good fruit, you're not involved in a good tree, and you need to find the good tree, okay? You need to find the good tree, and the good tree is Jesus. He is the vine. We are the branches. So hook on to that good tree, bear good fruit. I don't have a whole lot more for you today. I appreciate y'all tuning in to this basically holiday episode. It's December the 12th when I recorded this, but that doesn't really matter too much. Thank you for tuning in, everybody.
Voracious.